Day 5 of February. Oh, today is my anniversary. Son of a gun. I actually remembered it. Let's see, that would be my 50. I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I'm thinking 64 to 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 15, 16, 17, my 54th. My 54th. And gosh, 54 years. "54 years. My wife from up in the mountains. We were sitting there one morning at her parents' house. This is up in the mountains, back up there in an old holler, old hillbilly house. And we was just thinking, you know what, we'd already was engaged, you know. But we're thinking, why don't we just go and get married today? We can get a ride across the mountain. And I'm trying to remember who. Okay, one of her older sisters drove us, and there was me, my wife, my youngest sister-in-law, my sister-in-law that was one notch above my wife in age, and my mother-in-law. Boy, I'll tell you what a crew. And it's about 20 miles across that mountain. It's maybe 5 miles up and 7 miles down on the other side. And I mean, it's a mountain. Warrior Balls, what that was called. And we took off around 11 o'clock in the morning. Went to the courthouse, bought a license, found the JP, and got his. And the things I remember most about that is my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law that was my age. She's about 2 years older than my wife. And that sister-in-law, she was so nervous. She couldn't sign. Her hand was shaking so bad, she couldn't hardly sign her name as a witness. And my mother-in-law was a witness. And my mother-in-law, she wasn't that old to have the, what do you call it, flagellant? You don't want to call it farting problem, but flatulence, I think that's what you call it. And she wasn't but about 50-something. But boy, that woman could put out enough gas to run a car. And if she got caught doing it, she'd get tickled. And this time, she did it just before the judge come in. I don't know if the judge smelled anything or not. I smelled something. And if you ever out in the public with my mother-in-law and you seen her standing somewhere off, but she's kind of trembling, you know. She was trembling, she was shaking because she was laughing.
Projects solved. The Orlando Home and Garden Show is here. Need a reliable contract?
What the heck happened to that? Who turned that on?
They're here too. Bring photos of you.
My doggone dog had my remote laying on my bed, and my dog walked over and stepped on it and turned the TV on. Now, how about that? Oh, well, darn. Where was I at? Oh, my mother-in-law. She was a sweetheart. But you know what? That old woman, she never... I guess she loved me. I sure loved her. But I never got the first hug from that lady. Never. She was that proper about other men, unless it was her son. And me just being a son-in-law, I didn't qualify for hugs and a kiss on the cheek or whatever. So I sure loved that old lady. And she had some peculiar beliefs about things. The only time she ever was close to giving me a hug, she got Alzheimer's real bad. And I could give her hugs then. She didn't care. But one time, she was sitting in her wheelchair and she didn't know anybody, but she was still dipping snuff. And she had a spit can there, but as I walked by, she looked at me and then went, spit at me. They eventually had to take her snuff away from her. She got too messy. She wouldn't. One time I was walking by her and I said, "Hey, Mom." And she looked at me and said, "Oh, are you still here?" "Yeah, Mom, I'm here. Love you, Mom." I sure did love that old lady and my daddy-in-law too. They were more family to me than my real family, except for one of my brothers. I had some great in-laws. They were a bunch of old simple hillbillies, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, as some people that heard me say something about hillbillies thought I was talking down to them and stuff. And I feel like I'm a hillbilly. I lived up there a lot of years. But anyway, I got this thing. Can't remember if I talked about her or not. I got this comment from a subscriber. Oh, I know what I was talking about. My anniversary's today. I can't get my thoughts together this morning. But 54 years, yeah, that's a long time ago. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm still married. You know, my wife passed away 10 years ago, but I tried 2 or 3 different relationships with ladies after my wife passed, but I just couldn't do it, you know. And I had a couple of ladies, they were pretty well off financially, you know, especially one. She was always out buying. She was a teacher that retired out of the school system. She's drawing that pension, drawing her Social Security, and had 4 or 5 homes, one being a condominium in Miami. And people kept telling you better like her. She take care of you. Yeah, she probably could. But I swear it never entered my mind about what she had financially, you know. I probably went out with her 3 times, and she really fell for me. I don't know how or why, but she fell for me hard. And the 4th time I went over there to have dinner with, she's fixing me dinner, and she had a picture of me, nice framed picture of me sitting over on the end table by the sofa, of me. And another one of me and her sitting on the other table. And it hit me then. I need to break this off, because I'm not gonna be able to get serious, you know. And so I did. And I come over one day. I wanted to apologize to her and explain how I felt like I was still married. It wasn't but like 2 years after my wife had passed away. And she wasn't there, but her daughter drove up. And boy, she tore into me for breaking her mama's heart and all that stuff. And I kept trying to tell you, I said, look, if I could have let her on, I couldn't do it. My heart wasn't in it. I still feel married. I can't do it, you know. And I said, rather than just to lead her on like that, it's better just to end it and let her really find somebody that she cares about. And boy, she wasn't having none of it. She was pissed at me. And so was some other friends, so-called friends of mine, pissed at me for not taking advantage of the woman financially. Now, why in the hell would I do that? Yeah, she could touch. And plus, another reason I wasn't real comfortable with her was because she was so well off financially and I wasn't. I didn't have 2 damn nickels to rub together. And this woman's out buying a house at a drop of a hat just because it's a good buy. You know? I would have never been able to feel comfortable with her, around her. I liked her. I didn't love her. And the other woman, she was, I thought I was getting serious about her, but I was over at the house one night. Now, she was younger than me. I was in my 60s, and she was 44. And I liked her, boy. And she had 2 kids at home. One of them was the boy was 15, the girl was like 12, and I loved those kids. But I was over at the house one night, and she, all of a sudden, she pulled out a damn gun, a pistol. And I mean, it wasn't no little bitty 22 or something. It was like a 44 or something like that. She pulled that thing out of the drawer and laid it on the table. And out of the blue, let me know she could take care of herself. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm like, where'd that come from? I didn't go back no more. I didn't go back no more. And I maybe wasn't understanding her because she was a French national. She was European. Well, she's a nice lady though. I run into her every once in a while. But now I talk about the ladies and talk about attracting the ladies and all. That's all BS, you know. But I do like it when they come up and tell me how sweet I am and ask me am I okay and stuff like that, you know. That's great. Some people care. So I like that. But romantically, and that's one reason I'm really afraid to like be real good friends with an older person, a lady. 'Cause it seemed like every time I did, they started getting serious. And I had one lady, she was my mother's age. My mother was 16 when I was born, but she was my mother's age, had the same name, and she was hot after me after my wife died. And I kept putting off, and she said, well, Russell said Sue wouldn't care. I loved her to death. But I just couldn't get involved with her, you know, and I mean, she was charging, buddy. She come up to me one time in the church when the preacher wanted everybody to turn around and shake the hand of the other person and all that stuff. Boy, she turned around and shook my hand, then got up my face, kissed me right on the lips. Right there in front of everybody, and then she got this look like she did that, and then she started looking around like, see, he's mine. She was a sweetheart. She was so sweet. But she died. And I felt bad about not being able to return the affection, but I just couldn't, you know. You can't fake that stuff. It's that son of a gun. These batteries do not last no time. This thing eats up the batteries. I see the little thing flashing. Well, dang. So much for that experiment. I put regular batteries in this time instead of rechargeables because I thought rechargeables was getting out too early. But hell, those two batteries I got in there was $2.50 worth. And I can't afford that, so I'll go back to the rechargeables. So, if the sun's shining today, I'm gonna attempt, and I underline attempt, to go out there. We got a cedar tree out in the front yard that's just up and died. and I'm gonna have to cut it down. But right now I just want to trim some of the lower limbs off of it, and I'm gonna video me doing that. I don't have a gas powered chainsaw. All I've got's a electric chainsaw, but it does pretty good. And that tree's not that big. It's big, but it's not that big that I can't do it. But I'm gonna try to start cutting some limbs off of that thing and save. I'm gonna say anything that's, you know, like that round or bigger, I save them and I cut little rounds off of that for different projects and crafts and stuff. So I'm gonna save all that, even the big stuff. But that's on the agenda, and we shall see. What am I lost my train of thought again. I just noticed that I got another subscriber today, and that puts me at 50 subscribers. Holy cow. And again, I can't tell who it is, you know. They don't show. 50 subscribers. 50 people watching me. That kind of makes me feel humble. 50. You know, I'm always talking about being a micro scrapper and everything. And I just noticed something. This is my pen that, you know, I give myself shots with. And I go through about 1.5 days, maybe 2 days, I'll use these a pen. But that needle right there, you probably can't see it, but that thing's stainless steel. Now, stainless steel brings more. Of course, I'm just yapping. I know it's not feasible to salvage that and sell it for scrap. It's just too small, and then there'd be hazards of handling used needles and stuff, you know, so nobody would do it. But it just occurred to me that's a piece of stainless steel. And one way of looking at it, if I had a big old block of stainless steel that weighed a pound, it cost that one little piece of steel there would cost just as much as one little piece that side out of that block. Of course, you can't salvage this. I don't see anything ever happening that'd have to salvage something like that. But it just occurred to me, that's stainless steel. Weird thought, Russell. That's carrying a little micro scrapping a little bit far. The other day I got curious how they make a needle that small. I've done some research on that and found out that needle started out as a tube about this big around, and this long steel rod goes, and it's hollow like a little pipe, and they draw it through a machine, and as it goes further through the machine, it stretches it and more stretch, the smaller it gets, and pretty soon this piece of steel like this big would make thousands of needles, You know, it draws it out so small. But that's how they do it, if that makes any sense. Oh well. I'm gonna get me a new camera too. I'm gonna get one that plugs into the AC. Current, you know, your regular wall current, where I don't have to, it'll run off of regular power and I don't have to have the batteries being used in it. So that's gonna work. But anyway, happy anniversary to me and my sweet wife. Bless her heart. Sure have missed that lady. Sure have missed her. I'll be back. I'm gonna tell you what, folks, I like making these videos, but I see other people, they're showing the cameras away from them, showing them what they're doing and stuff, and it's a lot of trouble and time and problems for me, since I have to have a walker most of the time, and it's just a lot of trouble. I got to go out here and set this thing up so you can see me doing my thing. Very hard when you got to use a stupid walker, but then I got to set the camera on the damn tripod. What the hell? I got it wrong? Oh, there it is. Now, I'm just wondering, you know what? I need to go to the other dang side because nobody helped me clean this mess. Well, I made most of the mess, so, you know. So let's see if that looks. How I put my damn glasses on the screen ain't light enough. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, I'm having to burn a lot of crap. Our trash people, they won't pick up stuff like this, and I ain't got no way to haul it to the landfill. So I'm burning a lot of stuff. That was a project of mine I should have never built. But I did. And I'm burning. It was going to be a thing for my router, one of my routers. And I just ain't got no room for it. Materials is free, so it didn't cost me nothing, so now I'm burning it. Here I sit watching the fire again. I should be busy. I sure like sitting by the fire. Winter or summer. Man, my wife and two kids, we lived in a house one time up in the mountains. And it was an old hillbilly house, and it had a rock fireplace, and that's the only heat that was in the house. But it done pretty good. He had a little upstairs loft to it and everything, but it heated pretty good. And my little boy, the one that passed away when he was 14, he had some plastic, well, they were little fire trucks. He said, fireman it. I want to be a fireman that. Bless his heart. And one night he was playing with them, and before he went to bed, he left the darn things too dang close to the fireplace. And them suckers melted. They didn't catch on fire, but they sure melted from the heat. In the winter, I try to keep that fire going. You know, I put a backlog in there and so it keep the house kind of warm. No, my mother-in-law's house, boy, they would try to keep it warm, but they wouldn't put enough in there for it lasted. They used a wood stove, and that thing would burn out about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And when you got up, when you woke up, of course, bedrooms were always cold. But you could tell if that fire had gone out because you were seeing your breath. I mean, it was cold. And somebody always had to get up and start to get the fire started. And they used to kid me a lot about I couldn't start a fire. Well, I could start one, but it took me longer. But now my daddy-in-law, he seemed like he'd get out a knife and whittle a little bit and throw some stuff in there, and it seemed like he'd have a fire going in 10 minutes. But he's born and raised up there, so he knew what he was doing. And he'd have to go out there during the summer and cut wood, roll it down the mountain to the house, and lay in enough wood to last through the winter. That was a major thing with him, getting that firewood. And he had 48 acres up there, but there wasn't no big timber or anything on it that he could cut. And but bordering on his land, it was government land, and you could get a permit to go on the government land and cut firewood. I don't know that. I think you had to cut dead wood that was dead or either dying. That's what you had to cut. But hell, that was the best anyway. Oh, I need to get busy. The fire, and you know what? Fire makes me lazy. It really does. It makes me lazy. That's what it is. Yeah, I want to just sit here and watch it and do nothing. And breathe the smoke and all that stuff. Smells like, shoot, memories from long ago, boys. I sure, even at my grandmother's house, and she didn't eat pork, but they would have a hog. My Uncle Jack, her son, he would have a hog killing on a real cold day. And when they slaughtered the pig, they had this big, looked like a half metal steel tank sitting there with water in it, and then they had a fire built under that, heating the water up. And to make the hair easier to get off of the skin of the hog, once they had him, you know, butch took apart, you know, cut open and all the innards stuck it out and everything, they would dip that hog down in that boiling water for about 15-20 seconds. That's all it took. Then they'd pull that sucker up and he'd be hanging there, and they had a thing that just rubbed over his skin and the hair just come right off. I guess the hot water had something to do with it. And then I had another uncle, boy. Ooh, I wish I could have some of his sausage. He made sausage. Lord, he made the best sausage I ever eat. and all these companies now that make this stuff. Some of it's good, you know, but they ain't made none like my Uncle Edward made. None whatsoever. My Uncle Maynard made good sausage and good country ham. Uncle Jack, I don't know where he got his meat, but it was, well, some of it from the hog killings at Grandma's. But he didn't have like a farm, but he farmed. He rented other people's land and farmed it, because he made me and my cousin Frankie work that darn stuff during the summer. I hated that. But you didn't argue with Uncle Jack. He said, get up and go. You got up and go. He was a funny man. Funny man. I remember last time I was around him, he was driving a taxi cab, and a customer wasn't going to pay him, and he grabbed the customer by the collar and swung back to hit him with his fist. His damn pants fell down. I'd have given anything if I could have seen that. There was other witnesses to it, but they said he let go of that man real quick to get his pants back up. That was my Uncle Jack. And he always carried a little, he rolled his own cigarettes. He smoked and he rolled his own. And he always carried a little fabric bag of bull durham stuck in his pocket, like what I'm wearing. And you could see the strings hanging out of his shirt pocket. Had that bull durham in there. He could roll a cigarette. He wouldn't buy ready-made cigarettes. He'd roll them. But I had a bunch of aunts and uncles. There was 10 of them people, you know. There was more aunts than there was uncles, though. I had Uncle JB, Uncle Jack, gosh, and my daddy, and Aubrey. And Aubrey I never knew too much about. He was one of the older ones. And but then I had uncles that was married to aunts, you know, like Uncle Edward and Uncle Maynard. And they is that better? I can walk far and talk to y'all. But Uncle Maynard, I liked Uncle Maynard probably the best. I didn't have to work as much when I stayed with Uncle Maynard and Aunt Rosa May, but when I stayed at Aunt Ann's and Uncle Kenneth's, I had to work. He raised tobacco, cotton, and soybean. And I swear, some of them fields, you couldn't hardly see the end of the road that you was working on. It'd take you an hour to get down one road, just, you know, chopping the weeds away. And you had to work with Uncle Kenneth. I didn't mind working in the tobacco so much, but because I had a mule and a sled that I run through the roads there. The guys they call primers was pulling the leaves and putting them on my sled, and then I had to take the mule and sled them back over to where they tying them up in little bunches and hanging them on tobacco sticks to put in the barn to cure. I thought it was rough, but you know what? It sure wasn't rough. I needed more of it, to tell you the truth. Man, that fire's getting ready to get going there. I sure did love my aunts and uncles. Oh, 9 yards. We had a family reunion every Labor Day weekend, and that had been going on since in the Depression in the mid-30s. And it's, I don't know how many years it's been going now, but it's getting now where there's only one aunt left, you know, of my daddy's sisters, and all the men are gone. And I got an aunt that was married to Uncle Jack. She's still living. She's 101. but she don't go to reunions anymore, and there's so many people in the family now that I don't know 90% of them. All the ones I growed up with, my cousin. I got one favorite cousin that's still left, but the cousins I hung out with the most was Ray and Timmy and Charles, and all three of them's died. So, boy, I'm the last one of that bunch. Man, we used to get into stuff. That, my YouTube buddies, is or was a $50 Christmas tree. I believe in artificial trees. This is such a damn waste. Of course, they can grow millions of these things, but they say it's people starting to drift more towards artificial trees than the real ones. But it really don't make no sense to me. I mean, you go out and you pay, and this was a cheap one. Actually, I think she paid $45 for it at Walmart. And now, a pile of ashes. I got other trash I'm trying to burn too. But that's the way the trees go, you know. Hell, some of them trees is $100 or more. I just don't, and everybody wants either a Douglas or a Fraser fir. And there's some of them others that makes pretty trees, but they're really sticky. I forget what they call them. But when I was in Boy Scout troop with my grandson, we used to sell Christmas trees. And boy, that was a lot of work. We had to set up a canopy, and we went and got like, I think we didn't actually buy them, we got 300. And we could bring back what we didn't sell, except for one batch. One batch we bought them, and we had to eat them things. We had them left. They were drying out. And a brand new tree. Well, it wasn't brand new, but I mean, you've been cut for 2 or 3 months. But we had to even pile them up in the pile when it was all over, sometime between Christmas and New Year, and we had to burn them. We still made a little money. We still made about $400 or $500 for the troop, and I enjoyed it. I had to sleep over there at night and keep people from stealing them. You know, some of them people, they don't care if Jesus Christ is sitting there owning them trees. If they get a chance, they'll steal them. They don't care. Folks, this is really micro scrapping when you sitting here where you burn a bunch of stuff. And you're picking all the metal out. I didn't know all that metal was in it. This is not, hell, that's copper. That's wood.
Yeah, there's some more copper. How they all that stuff getting that far? I need to get me a good pickup stick. This thing ain't worth a shit. It comes from Harbor Freight for $1.95. I can buy a good one at Walmart for $9. Yeah. Well, dang, that's about 20 pounds. Good Lord. Now I got to get sorry ass pickup stick. Well, so much for the scrap. Got it out. Oops, there's a can over there. See that? That's still just like the rest of it. All the scrappers don't realize, of course I know cans don't weigh much, but if you're right there at it, you already spent your dime to be where you're at. And you're picking up the good stuff. And then you ought to have a special little container to drop stuff like that in. And pile that stuff up somewhere. Come back next year and start loading it up. Need some way to crush them things up. I was thinking about making some kind of a crusher. Just feed the cans in there and spits them out flat.